So a lot of women, if you're like me and you're going through a pregnancy loss of any type, you feel very lonely, you feel alone, and you don't really know how to explain it to anybody. It can even be a sensitive topic to people who have had a loss, a pregnancy loss of some sort. There's so many different degrees and levels. Not every miscarriage is the same. There's so many types, and you kind of join this club and you don't realize it. If you were like me, you don't do the research, you don't expect it, you don't think it's going to happen to you. It could happen to anyone else, but not you. And there's some days where you sit in bed, like me, and you feel awful. You don't give a shit, you don't give a damn about how you look. I mean, you just don't feel good. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay. Your pain is validated, and so is your grief, because you had something, you were excited for it, and you had expectations, and you know what? They didn't work out, and it sucks. And it's painful, and it's supposed to be. You don't have to be a strong warrior. You don't always have to be strong. People may tell you that, and people may want you to be strong. People may expect you to come back to work the next day. But there's nothing wrong with it, embracing your loss, recognizing it, and then taking the steps to grieve it. So I didn't realize that this would be a grief journey. Anyway, there's a really popular book that's out. It's called What Do You Do with an Idea? And it is super popular. It's a children's book, right? So you see it a lot at Barnes & Noble or whatnot, and I'd seen it for so many months, and since I was working with kids for a while, I decided to buy it one time because I figured it would be a great addition for my classroom. It's a gorgeous book. It's got one of the medals here, so you can tell it's got to be pretty good. It's got a lot of really great reviews online, but when you read this book, after having recently lost a child or a pregnancy, it's a lot different. So I know you probably want to get to that. So I actually felt like I would record myself reading this book to you and to women who just feel lonely and upset and sad and even angry. Because anger is part of grief, so it's okay. So I'm going to read this book in the perspective of a mother who lost their pregnancy. And when you read it this way, it's completely different. I'll try to show you the illustrations. Let me see if I could do that. All right, so I'll try to capture both my emotions and reading this, because today I'm having an emotional day, I'm not going to lie. So What Do You Do with an Idea, written by, I want to say it's Kobi Yamada, illustrated by May Bessam, I don't know, sorry, but it's a really beautiful book. I read it last year, but I'm going to attempt to read it again this year. It says, "For Shale and Ever, always remember a single idea can change everything, Dad. With thanks to my friends who always support me in my work." And there's what it looks like. So, sorry about my filming. Anyway. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered. What do you do with an idea? And so you see this picture of a person and an egg. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of being pregnant. At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. So I was kind of thinking, you know, you're thinking about yourself with a child, carrying a child. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. And that's kind of how you feel. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. And mothers know that when they're carrying a child, that their child needs obviously food and attention and love. It grew bigger and we became friends. And just the kid carrying the egg is just like, it's so symbolic of a mother with a pregnant child, or pregnant with a child. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly, and many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time, and that it would never become anything. So you think about life, you think about your kid, and some people might judge you or criticize you or think maybe your kid's gonna be weird, or they're a waste of time, or you shouldn't have got pregnant, or they make you feel guilty. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. That kind of reminds me of parents who set up their nursery for their kids, or their home. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea, you change the world. And I think that is the end of the story. I wasn't half as emotional as I was the first time that I read it, closer to my pregnancy loss. But again, if you ever just want to feel like you need something to connect to and kind of just be present in your grief and your loss, this book does that for me. It can be seen both in a happy way of being pregnant and having a child, but also in a way of being pregnant and not having the child and then having to let it go and still being able to change the world. So if you're dealing with this, I can't obviously give you any advice, because that's not really what we do or people should do. But what I can say is that you're not alone, and for you to find whatever it is that can help you to embrace it, to learn about it, to try it, to be courageous and not be afraid. And when you feel like crying, or you need to do something different, or you feel guilty, a lot of us women feel guilty about what we do, about our actions. We need to justify them or feel like, take care of people, nurture people, but sometimes you can't do it and you just have to say no. You have to think of yourself sometimes, your grief, and how you're going to heal in the best way possible for you. With that, I hope you really enjoyed this book, and I hope that it just kind of touched your heart, and know that you are not alone in your grief, and it is validated. Your loss is true, and nobody can take that from you, and forever it will be in your heart as it is in my heart. I'm right there with you. Take care, and God bless you.